Hi, everybody. Ian Bremmer here, and a little of the latest on Iran. Are we closer to an end to the war? Very interesting to see that President Trump came out and said that he was about to engage in strikes, but then pulled back at the last minute because he was asked by all the Gulf states. That is somewhat true, not completely. There's a lot of difference between how the various Gulf states think about continuing with the war in Iran. But the interesting point to me, aside from the fact this is the sixth ultimatum, if you're counting, that President Trump has given the Iranians since the ceasefire, and thus far he's backed down every time because his military options are not great, but also that in the last week, about 50 ships, tankers and other container ships have gone through the strait despite the blockade, some of which are going through these Iran-friendly ships that the American blockade have allowed through, some of which are going through on the Oman side of the strait that the Americans have facilitated, the Iranians haven't threatened. Some are going through quietly, stealthily, without transponders on. That's not anywhere close to the strait being open, but it is a release valve for what has been a really major shock to the global economy. Energy prices, inflation more broadly would be up even more if that wasn't the case. So, and that is the beginning of how this could be over if the Americans don't get a deal and choose not to engage in strikes, which is that ultimately the Iranians make money. The Europeans, Chinese, others have lots of military capabilities in and around the strait. And Iran's ability to charge a lot goes down because the market equilibrates. There'll be resilience and other ways to get oil and other goods out. And that means they're going to have to charge less as a consequence. Now, doesn't mean Trump won't engage in military strikes. He's frustrated that anything he announces at this point would look worse than the Obama-era JCPOA nuclear deal that Trump unilaterally withdrew from. And also that anything he would agree to at this point would leave the Iranians in a stronger geostrategic position in the strait than they were before the war started. Certainly with a lot of damage done to their military and economic infrastructure, though not completely obliterated, certainly with a lot of their leaders killed, but nonetheless, hardly something that you can call a win. And look, why is it that the Strait suddenly is a place where the Iranians have all this influence? Why didn't they do it before? Because before they understood that if they were to try to shut down the Strait and exercise that leverage, good chance the regime would get attacked at the top levels. They'd get assassinated. Well, when the Americans and Israelis do that to begin with, then you're at the break glass, pull emergency lever moment. There's no other leverage they have. That's precisely what happened. And the outcome of that turns out to be pretty bad for just about everybody out there. So I am still very much of the view that the best or should I say the least worst outcome for Trump at this point is to declare victory and get out. But he is the longer this goes, the less likely he is to actually do that. And that's why these threats, these ongoing threats of, going to destroy Iran and hit them militarily, at some point, the potential of doing that, whether or not it's with the ground troops, the special forces that are there, and that also is very dangerous and it would be very unpopular in the U.S., still, some additional strikes can't take that off the table at this point. Final point, this is super unpopular, not just around the world, but just about everybody. And the Americans aren't getting help from the Europeans to end it, not getting help from the Chinese to end it, no matter how much they may say people should be a part of it. This is all on Trump. But it's also not popular in the U.S. 66% of Americans think this war is a bad idea. Only about 22% think it was a good one. Now, majority of Republicans still support Trump on it. And that is quite something, given how this war has gone. But in a country as incredibly divided as the U.S., that level of opposition means you're screwing up pretty badly. And, as much as Trump has had successes in his first administration and in the first year, on the foreign policy front, this is assertively not one of them. Every day this goes on, it's a bigger disaster on Trump's watch. That's it for me. I'll talk to you all real soon.